So welcome to some games I've been playing recently. Now, I just got Ys 9 out of the way, so I was able to open up a little bit more time for myself to try out some other games. And some of them have been a surprise to myself because I was not originally going to buy them. But before I begin, what games have you guys been playing? Let me know down below. Maybe some other people can get some ideas of other games to try out. That is for sure. So let us go back to November 2013. Me and Kim picked up a little game here, Super Mario 3D World. And we loved this game. We loved it so much. We played it together all of the time during Christmas time. It was awesome. I remember drinking Baileys and hot chocolate and eating cookies and playing the game. We really, really liked it. That brings us to now of a game I was going to pass up on. And that is Super Mario 3D Worlds and Bowser's Fury. Because I thought, okay, it's a port of a game I already kind of have. Where friends were telling me, no, you have to play Bowser's Fury. And I'm like, why? Why? They're like, just trust us. Do it. And so I did. So the other night I sat down and I'm like, okay, Kim, let's try this out. I started playing it and I'm like, I can't believe how good this is. I had no idea. I hadn't watched any trailers online. I had no hype build up. I was just thrown into a game. And I tell you, it kind of reminded me of the 80s and 90s where you kind of hear about a game, you don't play it, and then all of a sudden you rent it or somebody brings it over or you play it at somebody else's house and you have this amazing experience and you're like, oh my God, I didn't know how good this was going to be. And the one thing I want to say about Bowser's Fury that I really like is the flow of the mechanics of the game. Yes, it uses a lot of things from Super Mario 3D World. That's understandable. But boy, the flow is fantastic. And it's this open world Mario game. And it kind of gives me a bit of hope for the future of Mario games in general. I mean, I really like Odyssey quite a lot. It's a very Mario 64 game. But this game was like, whoa, here you go. We'll just open it up and you can really go about and explore on your leisure. And I just loved the feeling of it. And that's the funny thing about a game like this. I think it harkens back to why I like Mario. It's this big cartoony universe to play in. And I loved playing with that game. I mean, it was awesome. We were sitting there going, this game is incredible. My God, we had no idea how good it was going to be. So that was a fun one. Have you guys had that where you buy a game and you really don't know what to expect? People tell you to play it, you're blown away. That's what I had. Like, obviously Super Mario 3D World is the same sort of thing. It's been updated and all that. But Bowser's Fury was a brand new experience I had no idea about. Next up to talk about, and this has been a really fun one for me, I even got to put on my Captain Commando shirt because I'm like, I haven't worn this shirt in years, maybe about 6 years, but I finally put it on because I can finally talk about Capcom Arcade Stadium. Have you guys heard about this collection? 32 classic arcade games by Capcom in one collection. Actually, it's 3 collections, but you can get it all as one. I've been playing all of the games. I've been revisiting them because if there's any games that are my games, I can, selfishly say they are the Capcom arcade games of the 80s and 90s. I played them to death. So much so. And I just want to say something. A couple years ago, I picked this up, Belt Action Collection. And this was a few titles from Capcom right here. And I always have this on my Switch. I think I made an episode about all this, the Switch games that are always on my Switch. This is one of them because I love those arcade games so much. Where I'm going to put this aside and say this is one of the best collections of Capcom games I've seen, I think, ever. It's awesome because all of the old arcade games are there, 32 of them. All the classics like Strider, Mega Twins, Final Fight, Captain Commando, Warriors of Fate. That's a game I used to play in a little arcade in Richmond, a place by us here. And it used to be in this arcade for years, and we'd always go in whenever we were shopping around up there, and I'd always go in and play Warriors of Fate. I always really enjoyed that game. And what's really interesting is there's the Japanese versions of the games and the American versions of the games. And sometimes some of these games were only released in Japan. There's a few of those here. I've also got to say, the display options are amazing. You can completely rotate it. You can play it on an arcade machine, zoom it in, extra zoom it in. I don't know why you'd want to do that. I just play the standard 4x3, black bars on both sides, no filters. Gotta play it the old school way. That's the way that I like it best. I like it that there's so many options. I couldn't believe how much they threw in here. Yeah, the amount of filters and the difficulty settings that you can change. I think a lot of people out there will be happy with this collection, and I've really been enjoying playing it and revisiting those memories because it really is capturing a time period that is gone. And that is the old arcade days where you'd walk into an arcade and you'd see a machine and it would change your life. It was like the greatest thing you'd ever seen back then. And nowadays, I think a lot of younger people will look at these games and go, oh, well, aren't they novel? I hope there's a lot of younger people out there that will discover these games. There's a lot of fun. Yeah, there's a lot of beat 'em ups in there. Yeah, there's some fighting games in there. And that's something I do want to talk about. Something that was absolutely crazy that I saw was the background of E Honda's stage. They removed like the sun. So when you win, you know, I remember it would always like flash or whatever. And they removed that. I guess it was a political thing. I don't know much about that. I stay away from all the politics stuff. But it was weird to see something removed from a game that's been in that game for like 30 years. It's so wild and all that. And it just felt like, oh, that's strange to see that taken out of there. That was one interesting thing on the collection. I remember reading about it online. So I had to go to that stage just to see, because I'm such a Street Fighter purist. I have the arcade machine right next to me here, and I thought that was a very interesting thing to be removed. Now, the game of the collection for me is an interesting one because it's one I have not played, and that is 1944, The Loop Master. Have any of you guys played that? I've never played it before, and when I was capturing footage for this episode and I was playing all the games, I'm like, oh, you know what? I haven't played that game, and it really blew me away. I think it's from the year 2000, 21 years ago now. But the sprites, man, it was so neat to see the sprites, the planes, the attention to detail in there. And never mind the graphics themselves, which were awesome, all hand done. You don't see it like that anymore. And just the gameplay, everything felt, you know, when you play a good game, you know in the first 10 seconds if you like that game or not. I knew in the first 3 seconds that I liked it. I'm like, this game is awesome. And then I stopped and I started listening to the goddamn music of the game, and I'm like, oh my god, listen to those guitar riffs. And I was really impressed with the overall game, and that's one that I'm going to go back to on this collection over and over. Now, the next game I tried out was Project Triangle Strategy. Yes, that is the title. For now, until they change it. It's a working title. And this is from Square Enix. And the thing that surprised me was this was shown at the Nintendo Direct, and it totally caught me off guard. And it's a strategy RPG, and I thought it was Octopath Tactics at first. I'm like, it's going to be an Octopath Tactics game. It has that same style and look to it. But I wonder if they will change it to that title eventually. I don't know. Maybe they'll just come up with some other kind of name. But boy, does it feel like an Octopath Traveler style of game in a strategy way. And what can I say about that? I'm a huge strategy fan. I love the old school games like, you know, like the Fire Emblem series, Military Madness, Advance Wars. I go back with these games. I really like them. So I jumped into this game, and what did I think? I think the graphics are absolutely beautiful. I think it's a really neat world to run around in. I really like the town that you eventually get to. I was like, this is pretty cool. How is the gameplay? How is all of that? That's the meat and potatoes. At first, there was a bit of a learning curve of getting, you know, how to move my troops around and stuff like that, and because it's a different kind of strategy game that way. It's not just gonna highlight a troop and pull the troop over. It is, but there's a certain different way to do it. And I got accustomed to it. It took me about five minutes, and I'm like, okay, I get this. And I'm telling you, in this demo, they just throw you into the deep end. And I kind of like that because I'm from the old school strategy games. So I'm kind of used to this kind of play mechanics and hardness that comes along with them later on in the games. So they just throw you into this kind of scenario. And they give you a lot of troops. You got a lot of troops there. And you're trying to get out of the city to begin with. And what I found funny was I'm like, okay, I'm starting to learn everybody and know what everybody's role is. And then all of a sudden, I'm kind of moving ahead, and all of a sudden enemies are starting appearing behind me, and I'm like, hey, wait a second, I'm just getting cleared of these enemies. And I found it wasn't hard, but it was challenging a little bit. I had to go, okay, we just got to keep moving forward and accomplish the scenario, what we need to accomplish in that particular mission, and get that finished. What did I think? It kind of reminds me of Final Fantasy Tactics. Obviously, I'm a big fan of that game. I bought it day one back in the day. And yeah, so it reminds me of that. It has that sort of feel to it. I think it's pretty good. I really kind of like the story. There's a lot going on there. As I say, they just throw you straight into the deep end, and you're kind of going, what? Who are all these characters? Where are all these lands? What's going on again? And you just got to hold it together. But it seems really interesting. I think, remember, it's a work in progress. So I think they could streamline some of the combat and stuff like that. Maybe add a little bit more animation, maybe make some certain moves a little bit more exciting. Some of this stuff was really good. Some of the special moves were pretty awesome. But I was getting that feeling that I've been there, done that before, which is fine because it's a strategy RPG. I mean, this is what do you expect? I've done it before, but I liked it, and I liked what was there. I liked the graphics and all that. And it's the story. I kind of want to see where that goes. Have any of you guys played the demo? Do you like the demo? I thought it was pretty cool. I'm looking forward to where they come out and say what it's going to be in the future. But I really like that you can zoom in the camera around your characters. You can even take it overhead directly above your characters if you want a really old school version look of a game like they used to be. And also the thing that I really thought was fascinating is that you really can affect the storyline with your choices, and we'll see how much that is. So many games have promised us that we can affect the outcome by picking different scenarios, and sometimes they're very slight and they're not really big. I always have wanted a game where you make decisions and it's drastic what ends up happening, and they're claiming that that might be in this game following forward. I'll wait to see. I'm not going to make those claims yet until I see the final game, but I'm fascinated with it right now. So, guys, what have you guys been playing? That's the stuff that I've been doing this week. Had a lot of great fun with these games. So, anyways, guys, until next time.